welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we are continuing our Christopher Nolan retrospective with Inception.
Yeah.
So, who, besides Christopher Nolan, was involved in the making of this film?
I'm not even going to discuss who directed or wrote it because obviously this is our Christopher Nolan series, so I'm just going to go right into the story now. Obviously the big name here is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yep.
Followed by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ken Watanabe, Ellen Page, Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, Marion Cotillard. I don't even know if I pronounced her name right, but that's okay. And then Michael Caine's in this as well. Score by Hans Zimmer.
That's right.
This movie was released July 16th of 2010, so it pretty much just had its 10-year anniversary.
That's right.
Made for a budget of around $160 million, and it made about 830 at the box office. It has a runtime of about 145-ish minutes or so.
It's a long movie.
She's long.
Long movie. But no. So yeah, I think we have both seen this movie before. I think this was only my second time actually sitting all the way through it.
I have seen this. I think that was maybe the fifth time I've seen it. So
yeah. So it was one of the last Christopher Nolan movies I got around to seeing. But of course, I'd heard all about it. It was a big deal when it came out in 2010.
It was a huge deal when
the
it came
ending,
out.
Everybody talked about the ending all the time.
They still talk about it.
They still talk about the ending, although I think we'll get to it in a little bit. I think the ending's a little overblown. But anyway, but getting into it, you said that Christopher Nolan worked on this script for 10 years.
Roundabout. His first draft of the script was like an 80-page treatment that he wrote in around 2002, 2003 after he finished production of Insomnia.
Yeah.
He presented Warner Brothers with it, and they were like, I don't know about this, and they were like, let's go with Batman, and he made Batman.
Yeah.
And then, he made The Prestige,
Yeah.
and then The Dark Knight, and then he got around to this finally. And then over the years, I know he wrote it and re-refined it and re-refined it and re-refined it and continued to work on it and have people look at it for almost 10 years, so before it ever came out.
Well, I think it definitely shows. This movie could easily become very jumbled and very hard to follow.
Yes.
And
I'll start out actually by saying this is one of the last Christopher Nolan movies that I had never seen. I have one more that I haven't seen in his filmography, and that's going to be Interstellar. We'll talk about that here in a couple months. Mm-hmm. But I stayed away from this one for a long time because everyone told me it's so hard to follow. It's so, if you don't really, really pay attention to it, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it was only about 2 years ago, and I didn't have that problem. I actually enjoyed watching it so much the first time I watched it that I had about 5 minutes left in the movie and had to go to work. And the entire day I contemplated whether or not I was going to come back home and rewatch the entire movie just to watch the ending. So
yeah, but yeah, I think it's Christopher. If you pay attention now, obviously, if you're kind of phasing in and out, it'd probably get kind of jumbled. But if you pay attention, I think Christopher Nolan actually does a really great job of walking the audience through this plot.
Yeah.
Because at one point we're 4 dreams deep towards the end of the movie, but I knew what each dream level was and what each character was doing in each dream level.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a good testament to how great of a writer Christopher Nolan is.
Definitely, because like you said, it could easily get super jumbled, having all those different layers and the complexity of the entire movie. But it doesn't get confusing.
I mean, the whole movie from beginning to end is greatly written. He does a great job of setting up everything we see in the movie. We have
things that he sets up talking about in the first act or, in the second act when they're working on building all these dreams, the stuff that comes back into play or you see it at a later time during this climax of the movie.
Yeah.
He really is a talented writer when it came to this movie.
All really great stuff. And all the characters are well written and they all have their own personal demons and things they have
I think they're all really well acted even. I guess you don't care for Ellen Page a whole lot.
Not usually, but I think she's really good in this.
She is really good. I like her in this movie.
Yeah, I think she does good in her role. She performs her function really well.
Definitely.
Of course, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's a great actor.
Yeah.
Ken Watanabe is a great actor, obviously. Cillian Murphy's a great actor, obviously.
I like Cillian Murphy. He did a good job in the Batman movies, too,
Yeah.
playing Scarecrow.
Yeah.
So, we've seen him in a Nolan film already. Yeah. But the newcomer to a Christopher Nolan movie is Leo here.
Yeah, and Tom Hardy been in it.
Tom Hardy hadn't been in a in a Nolan movie yet, but he would go on, to
He's
do
in
Dunkirk. And play Bane as well. So
and play Bane, yeah. I think Tom Hardy's really good, and then Leo. Leo, I've kind
people have their quarrels with Leo, but I think Leo's a fantastic actor, and I think he does a really good job.
Leo's always been hit and miss for me. Like sometimes I just think he's too much, but in this movie, I do get a little tired of his constant gushing over his dead wife. But I think for the most part, Leo is really, really good in this movie.
Yeah.
When a director can rein in Leo, he's one of those actors. He's got a big personality. You got to kind of rein him in. But if you can rein him in properly, he is a great actor, and he does a good job in this movie, I think.
Really, definitely so.
That being said, if I was gonna nitpick things,
now, you can sit here and nitpick this movie all day long. I mean,
I don't think you could sit and nitpick it all day long.
I mean, I think you could sit and nitpick a lot of movies all day long. I mean, this movie, if you really try to look too deep and into it, I mean, obviously, it's gonna have some flaws. I mean, we're talking about a movie where we're talking about dreaming, where we end up 4 layers deep by the end of the movie,
and sharing dreams and all that. Yeah, I don't know the sharing dream concept. You just kind of roll with it for this movie. I mean, some things do bother me. Like at the end, I think Nolan kind of takes advantage of time a little bit. Like he said at one point, like, "Oh, we got 2 minutes left," and the things they do in 2 minutes, I was like,
"All right."
I don't really think that all happened in 2 minutes, but whatever. And what was the other thing that kind of? Oh yeah, the whole. And maybe I'd have to rewatch it again, but the whole staging, like, he's on the run. We understand that he's on the run this movie, and we figure out later it's because his wife framed him.
Yeah.
But my whole thing that kind of bothered me with that scene was that she wrecked the room. The way I took it, and the way I took it the first time, she wrecked the room and she had the window open to make it look like I thought that he had pushed her out the window. But she's on the window on the opposite side. It wouldn't take that smart of a forensic investigator to figure out she fell from the wrong window. But maybe I misread what was supposed to be going on in that scene. I don't know.
I don't know. I think yours is probably more accurate. For me, the first few times, the first like 3 or so times that I watched it, and up until you made that statement, I personally thought that she had set this room up to look like they were murdered, and that the room was ransacked, and that maybe they were going to kill themselves, like by shooting themselves, and they would be found, and someone would think it was a homicide.
Yeah.
And maybe the people escaped through the window or something like that. That's what I kind of took, but I think yours probably makes more sense. But it is a plot hole if you think of it that way.
but these are minor things. When as great as this movie is from beginning to end, I mean, it's really one of Christopher Nolan's best. I'm not going to say it is his best.
No, I don't think it's his best movie, but I think it's definitely up there. It's one that I've rewatched more than most Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah.
It's probably my second or third most rewatched Christopher Nolan movie, and I just watched it for the first time 2 years ago. So if that says anything.
Yeah, but anyway, you ready to get into buy it stream?
Well, we haven't even talked about like the effects. I mean, the effects work in this movie is incredible. There's a lot of CGI and visual effects, but not as much as you would think. Christopher Nolan is a huge fan of practical effects, and he utilize practical effects as much as physically possible in this movie. I mean, the opening scene with the Japanese looking castle. I mean, that was the set that they flooded. Famously the rotating corridor scene that they built.
The slow-mo shot of the stuff blowing up when
that's all practical. And then the model work that they did. I mean, they built models of this dream world toward the end of the movie when they go into limbo. They built models of that to film in, which is incredible. I mean, they did really good effects work, and the CGI is really good too in this movie. There's one rough shot, and it's that one that you said that they took forever. It kind of looks a little glossy when after Ellen Page has made the cities collapse on top of each other, and they transition up that wall. It looks a little rough, but that's my only nitpick.
I read that it took them I don't remember how long, but it took them a really long time to get that scene right, to get where it looked anywhere close to natural. Leo and Ellen. And I had to say that Doctor Strange owes some royalty checks to Christopher Nolan.
He's like, ooh, I have an idea. Oh, wait, Nolan's done that before.
Done it already.
But then the score also. The score for this movie is incredible. I think this... Now, it's not the best score ever written.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's one of the best scores for a movie in the way that it complements the film.
Yeah.
The music, especially towards the end of this movie, as we're trying to we're trying to finish out this job, and they're all trying to ride the kicks up.
Yeah.
The music swells and it's so intense and it puts you on the edge of your seat. And I think that Hans Zimmer did a great job crafting the music for this to just help with Nolan, and creating that tension for the
and that last
for
track,
the sequence.
I think it's called Time.
It's called Time, yeah.
And I got it on my Spotify playlist. I do really like it. I like it. I think it's up there with Hans Zimmer's best. I wouldn't say, for me, it's not my personal favorite. I really like his Dark Knight work. I like his Kung Fu Panda work and stuff. But this obviously is really good.
Yeah, it's great.
And Hans Zimmer.
I said, it's not like the best score, and it's not Hans Zimmer's best score, but it's one of his best in the way, if not his best in the way that it complements the movie.
Yeah.
So
it's really good. You're never gonna hear me complain too much about Hans Zimmer. I like Hans Zimmer quite a bit. But all that being said, I think.
You ready to get into buy it, stream it, skip it?
We can do it into buy it, stream it, skip it.
If you want to go for it.
All right. Well, obviously I'm going to say buy it. I think this is one of Nolan's better films. And that's saying something. Nolan makes a lot of really good movies. I really enjoy this film. I think, like I said, it is just really, when you think about it, it's just really, really impressive how easy to follow this film is, considering, like, if you try to explain it to someone.
I think if you were trying to explain it to someone, the easiest way to explain it to someone would be, at its core, it's a heist movie.
Yeah.
With dreams.
Yeah, I was gonna make that point that this is, at its very basic core, it's a heist movie.
Yeah.
But Nolan has just
in a very Nolan fashion.
He's Nolan to death, and it's pretty linear.
Yeah.
Except for we start out at the end of the movie, and which a lot of movies do that, and then we circle back around. What was the other point I was gonna make? I had it on my head, and now
I'm sorry.
Totally forgot what it was. I forgot to talk about the ending that everyone talks about on and on. It does bother me a little bit, because we established earlier that if it's a dream, like, it always seemed like the top would not wobble, it would constantly spin. So he does this ambiguous ending thing where, it obviously starts to wobble, which tells me, from what I've seen earlier in the film, that is obviously the real world.
Yeah.
But it's still clever. It's the whole top spinning thing is just throughout the whole movie. It's a really clever trick to help the audience, know
follow what's going on.
Follow what's going on. But no, as a whole, I really love this movie. I think it's a great film, and I definitely recommend you buy it and watch it over and over. Because like most Christopher Nolan films, you can catch all kinds of little details,
kinds of different things,
every time you watch it.
Definitely. I'm also gonna say buy it. This movie's fantastic. It's hands down one of my favorite Nolan movies. One of his best, which, like you said, is saying something, because he puts out a lot of great work.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of movies that I can probably say are bad. But I haven't seen Interstellar yet. I've heard things. I've heard positive. I've heard a lot of negative. But I guess we'll talk about it. Other than that, just what Nolan was able to create with this movie is incredible. The writing for it is fantastic. You really took a complex, a basic concept at its core, but then made it extremely complex, but still made it easy to follow and comprehend. Obviously you had to pay attention to the movie, and if you don't pay attention and you're sitting there on your phone constantly throughout the whole movie, you're probably not going to follow what's going on. But if you're watching a movie, you probably shouldn't be doing that anyway. I'm not one to talk. I do that a lot.
I was going to say, Dylan is king of sitting on his phone in a movie.
If I'm not interested, I'm not going to watch it.
I don't even know if movies you say you like, you're on your phone at the time.
It depends on how many times I've seen it.
Okay.
But and then just the effects work and what Nolan was able to do with practical effects. A lot of the practical effects in this movie, you would if you looked at them, you'd be like, oh, that's CGI, but it's practical and it's incredible. And the score is fantastic for this movie. Acting all the way around is great. And then you talk about the ending. The ending doesn't bother me. I like that Nolan tried to be ambiguous, but in my opinion, it seems obvious to me that the top wobbles in that very last shot right before it falls, right before it cuts to black.
Yeah.
And then it's not in the movie, so it doesn't count. But Nolan and Michael Caine have both come out and said that Christopher Nolan told Michael Caine that all the scenes that he appeared in were in the real world.
Yeah.
So I take it as it's the real world.
It's the real world. That's what I understand it to be.
But overall, it's a fantastic movie. It's one of Nolan's best. I definitely think you should buy it and watch it over and over. I've seen it, I don't know, about 5 times in the span of 2 years, which is a pretty decent average. So.
Yeah, definitely, since it's such a long movie to sit through. But I don't think you feel that runtime.
No, the pacing for the movie is really good. Especially once you get past that first hour. The first hour is not boring by any stretch, But once they board that planet about the hour mark,
Yeah.
I mean it's nonstop,
Nonstop
and you don't feel
constant
that.
action.
I mean, you got an hour and a half left in the movie almost, and you don't feel it. So
Yeah, it even has a good jump scare. Like,
Yeah.
the first time I watched it and that train hit it, I was like,
Boom.
"Ooh."
You're like, oh.
But anyway, I think that concludes our discussion of Inception. Next time you see us, we'll be discussing Spider.
The first Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Yes, we're gonna start a Sam
Spider-Man.
Raimi, Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
Spider-Man.
Other than that, I don't know what else we have coming up. We've done some reworking for our schedule. A lot of things have been pushed
Yeah.
back. You know, we just did A Quiet Place. It's been pushed back to April of next year.
Yeah, Conjuring 3 is not scheduled to come out till
Conjuring
next
3 is
year.
not scheduled to come out. I think we've pushed back a couple other movies. Bill and Ted got pushed back to the beginning of September. Tenet's obviously been pushed back at this point. Mulan's still undetermined.
Tenet and Mulan do not have a release date, so...
Tenet has a release date now.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, Tenet's release date is starts its theatrical release in IMAX theaters on the 26th or 27th of this month of August, and then it will start hitting wide release in on September like the 1st or 2nd or 3rd.
We'll
like that.
see.
I mean,
We will see.
I don't know. It's possible. I hope so. Honestly, I'm ready to get back in the theater, but other than that, I saw AMC and Universal came to terms on a deal where they'll be able to put their movies on premium VOD after 3 weekends at the box office. So after about 15, 16 days or so, they'll be able to release the movies on.
Well, I'm glad they
premium
worked with
VOD.
that. I never...
That would have been bad for AMC. I figured something, they'd work it out eventually. It seems a little, ridiculous. That they did
it
in
was
the first
all a
place,
bluff. Neither company would have ever have gone through with that. That was just stupid. But whatever. But anyway.
But other than that, if you want to follow us on social medias, we're up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're still at DNA Film Wars on all those, so make sure you go ahead and give us a like or follow. And be sure to tell your friends about us.
That's right. And if you want to listen to us talk about giant monster movies, we have a whole podcast dedicated to that, in which every Tuesday we release a new review of a giant monster film. Or usually a giant monster film. We go a little bit outside of the boundaries every once in a while. But that podcast is called Stomp This Way. If you want to listen to it, it's on all major pod hosting services.
Absolutely. I think that's it for this, though. So join us next week for Spider-Man. And make sure you like and comment and subscribe to our channel. And we'll catch you guys in the next video.
Yep. See you later.